Have you ever considered using virtual assistants in your business, but you just weren't sure where to start or how it even works? I'm Adam Hooley and welcome to part 1 of my 7-part program on implementing virtual assistants into your business. Let's start with part 1, which is why outsource. So outsourcing is something that is unique to every business. So the need to outsource, why you should outsource, and what outsource requirements that you want. But let's just have a look at the outsourcing experience just to start this off. So when we look at outsourcing, we kind of consider other things that we do in our lives. So outsourcing is not new to any of us. If you've ever had your house cleaner, or you've ever had your car washed, or you've ever had your pool cleaned, these are all sorts of outsourcing things. So the reason that you outsource those is because it saves you time and it's probably more efficient money-wise. So often you would rather pay someone a small amount of money to do a task that may take you several hours, or perhaps that you don't have the skills or the tools to do that particular task. So outsourcing isn't new. We've all been doing it for long periods of time. Even major companies like Apple have been doing it as well. So you'll often get the phone, it'll say designed by Apple, however made in China, and you'll get that with many products because outsourcing is very common and it's taking advantage of other economies or other skills or other tools that people have to make tasks that you have more efficient and more time effective. So property management is no different. So in this slide I'm sharing, if you look on the right hand side here, what we do is we only do tasks that add value to our business. So we look at building high value tasks or customer facing tasks that we're much better at as a team member. And then we look at all those administrations and process tasks behind the scenes, like lease renewals and booking inspections and things like that. And then we outsource those to the Philippines, to our virtual assistants, where we train those teams to be much better at those tasks and much focused at those tasks than we would ever be. And we do that at a much cheaper rate than we would if we paid ourselves to do them. So that's what we do. We start with smaller tasks, we outsource them, and then as we get used to the experience, then we put bigger tasks in place. So why use a BPO? So this is a very important question when deciding when you're deciding on outsourcing. Is a BPO is a business process outsourcer, and they're those companies that most people are using where they actually engage the company and they pay them a fee every month to look after all the HR side of the business. So let's look at the left hand side of the screen here. You could do it yourself. So you could employ a home-based freelancer, and this was very common in the early stages of outsourcing. Okay, and they're very cheap. They are very cheap. They're probably fast. They're possibly even good, and maybe they're even reliable, and more often they're not either of those. So what you often find is, and I've experienced this myself with VAs that I've had in the past, is that you're trying to do a video call and there's dogs barking in the background. You're wanting to increase their skills and put them more customer facing so they can start ringing some of your clients, but because they have these dogs barking or they have family squabbling in the background, you can't allow them to do these customer facing type members. So this is not always ideal, and often what you find is accountability is another issue here. Is you're trying to contact them during normal business hours and they're just not responding and you have no idea where they are, so you have very little control over them. So the idea is you pull in an experienced BPO like Hooley Virtual Staffing, and what we do is we guarantee the reliability of those team members, and we guarantee their efficiency and their consistency and the quality of outputs that they get. Now what we do is we house them in modern professional offices with modern IT equipment, high-speed internet, and what we do is we performance manage them for you. So we look after all the HR side. We recruit them, we interview them, we pay their salary. You don't have to worry about getting mixed up in salaries in offshore businesses and things like that. So we do all the HR side for you. And if they're not performing to your expectations, we also performance manage them, make sure they turn up to work every day and things like that. So that's the advantages of using a BPO, is that you get a much more reliable and efficient team member. You can grow with that team member as well. So why the Philippines? This is a big question that I get asked. Now, the Philippines is a very exciting nation, and it's one that a lot of people haven't had too much to do. But one of the first benefits is the time zone. And depending where you are, and I do a lot of work in both Australia and the US, if you're in Australia, they work our time zones and no problems whatsoever. There's only 2 or 3 hour distance depending on the time of year. If you're working in the US, and I have clients in the US as well, is that we have to pay them a premium to work their nighttime hours in the Philippines or your daytime hours in in the US, but it's a very, very small amount. It's nothing like what we do in Western countries where we're paying people time and a half or double time to work these midnight shifts. So in the Philippines, they adapt to that really well. There's a lot of people doing it, and it's not very expensive to actually pay staff to work overnight. Language is another one. Philippine English is spoken very widely in the Philippines. In fact, it's taught and written in all schools in the Philippines. So although English is not their first language, it's definitely right aligned next to it. So all Filipino people speak English very, very well. Also cost. This is a big one, obviously, is the cost of living in the Philippines is very cheap. So what we're finding is that the cost of employing people in the Philippines is also very cheap. So what we find is it's probably about a quarter or a third of the cost of employing a normal Western team member. Education's another big one, and this is what the Philippines are leveraging on as part of their economy at the moment, is they have a very strong education system, and they have over 2,300 higher level tertiary education facilities in the Philippines. So they are very pro-learning, and people are graduating with business degrees. Everyday people are graduating with business degrees. And what you'll find with Hooley Virtual Staffing is that we only employ graduate team members. So these people have university degrees that are coming to work for you for the cost of somebody that is very cheap. Their work ethic is also very good. So Filipino people pride themselves on reliability and trustworthiness, and you'll see a noticeable step up in the dedication and commitment of Filipino people. Economy is another big one, is that they're actually a thriving economy, so they're doing very, very well. So it's now a reliable place to outsource to. And labour costs, which we've already spoken about, of course, is the cost of employing labour in the Philippines is very, very cheap. Why Hooley Virtual Staffing? So this is one that I wanted to lead into now. So what we do is we remove the risks. So we've spoken about this already in this video. So what we do is we recruit the team, however you define them, because they're your team members. We screen them, however you pick handpick the final people you're going to employ. We employ them, however you integrate them into your business. And also, we help you skill them, but they're actually trained by you in your business. So what we're doing is we're providing you with a team member that becomes very much embedded in your business and your processes and become one of your team members. So let's just have a quick look at this. So what we do is we have industry-led staff retention. So our staff retention is currently at 98.1%, which is the highest in the Philippines so far of any BPO. We also have over 1,500 employees in our network. We're financially secure, which means that it's a long-term strategy for you and we're around for a long time. We have 10 locations throughout the Philippines to attract the best team members to your business. We also have a massive investment in technology and systems. So we support technology. Obviously, that's the forefront of how we manage to operate internationally out of the Philippines. And also we're building the #1 workplace in the Philippines, and we are already there. We are one of the most preferred suppliers for labor into the Philippines, people actually wanting to work for us. So that's all I have for you on employing next generation virtual assistants. That's the end of part 1. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit my YouTube channel to watch the other 6 parts in this series. Thank you.